That was Jacob, Esau, Lavan. Jacob has 2 wives and 2 concubines. Uh, the concubines um, are Zilpah and Bilhah, are totally character free. They speak not a single word in the entire story. The wives, Leah and Rachel, are, of course, a little more fully drawn, but only a little. Rachel gets a slightly more active role, right? She's the one who's tending the flock when Jacob arrives. She's the one who brings Jacob to her father. She's the one who will steal her father's idols, though it's not at all clear why she's stealing her father's idols. Like maybe it's just payback. Um, uh, Rachel will, of course, bear Jacob's most beloved children, Joseph and Benjamin. But does Rachel have a real character that we could describe here? Not really, right? She's no Rebecca, who is the best drawn of all the matriarchs, and not even she's not even a Sarah. Rachel's identity is to be loved by Jacob, right? To be barren and then not barren, and to have maybe in the stealing of her father's idols, maybe to have one moment where she emulates Jacob's deceptiveness, right? Like, I don't know, I'm going to steal some idols and then trick you into thinking I don't have them. Maybe like showing us that like the two of them really belong together, Rachel and Jacob. I don't know. And then poor Leah. It wasn't her decision to be the pawn in the like marriage switcheroo trick. And now she has to spend her entire eternity known as the unloved wife, right? That's who Leah is. She's the unloved wife. And when she names her 4 sons, her first 4 sons, right, that testifies to her unhappiness. Look at how she names them, right? Reuben, because it means now my husband will love me. And then Simeon, because the Lord heard I was unloved. And then Levi, because now my husband will become attached to me. I've borne him 3 sons. It's so, like, I find it so sad. And eventually she'll bear him 6 sons. It's still not enough. Even with the 6th one, she's saying, this time my husband might like me. I've given him 6 kids. And while Rachel's sons become victims in the story to come, Joseph and Benjamin, Leah's kids in the story are like, they're cads. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, right? Every one of those 4 becomes narratively problematized in Genesis. Every one of them. Leah will never overcome this initial non-preference. Right? When Jacob comes to greet Esau, right, he puts his like concubines and wives in order, right, so that if Esau should attack, right, he'll get to the ones he likes last, right? So Leah gets put in front of Rachel, right? Rachel with her kids are all the way at the back, just in case Esau gets tired of slaughter, I don't know, before he gets there, right? And weirdly, for poor Leah, again, like we don't even know when she dies. Rachel's got a whole deathbed, like she's got a whole scene. She got a deathbed speech. What woman in the Bible gets a deathbed speech? Rachel does. I don't even know, but there's no notice of Leah dying in the story. All I know is later on they say, oh yeah, and I buried Leah in the family plot. She's almost defined by what she doesn't get. Right? She speaks far less than Esau, but I find her equally sympathetic. And for similar reasons, right? She's sort of structurally second class through no fault of her own. Lest we forget, there's historical symbolism in Jacob's wives too. Jacob's beloved wife Rachel is the mother of Benjamin and Joseph, Jacob's beloved sons. And the territories of the tribes of Benjamin and Joseph occupy the Central Highlands. Right? That's the most powerful and most important areas of Israel are the ones that belong to, in the story, Rachel's kids. The relationships among the tribes in history and reality are represented by their lineage in the story itself. And lest we forget, or lest we never have known, the very idea that all the tribes are related and go back to Jacob, to Israel, is itself a fiction that was generated to justify a historical reality. Right? The story of the Bible tells us that Israel started out as one people, right, one guy, with 12 subdivisions, 12 kids. But in reality, Israel started out as 12 independent tribes. Probably there were more than 12 at one point. And those 12 tribes sort of came together to become one nation, one people. It's actually, we can think about this as similar lines, along similar lines with the US, right? Originally independent states that came together to form a single nation, right? In our case, that's both historically accurate and it's the story that we tell about how the nation came to be. But imagine if we told a story in which like originally a group called the United States traveled from England, right? And when they arrived, they like sent various members of their group out to settle the various areas of what is now the US, right? We'd know that's wrong, though it would be kind of just as plausible narratively, right? That's what the Bible has done, right? The Bible's narrative version of Israel's history is, no, we all started as one thing, and then we just sort of subdivided. Whereas again, right, in reality, it's the other way around. That is to say, the story doesn't give us history, not accurate history, but history drives aspects of the story, even basic things that we take for granted, like 12 tribes. But for all we may be able to say about how the story represents history, history doesn't explain the entire story, right? Leah's anguished desire to be loved by Jacob has no historical symbolic value, right? That's still just the story of these individuals, the narrative. Whatever lies in the background in terms of the history behind it, the surface of the text is still narrative with characters.